Hello everyone, I am back with a video about setting up your first mech. In the beginning, your mechs are going to be basically rentals, and you will find them by selecting your select mech button, show all, and then you can select your medium, heavy, and light mechs, and you will see them and they'll be marked with a trial right here. And those mechs, you can't change any armament on them. They're usually underpowered because of their standard default setups, but once you get out of them, they'll be much better. If you're a fan of first-person shooters, you might want to start with the lights or with the medium mechs. These mechs have a significant amount of firepower, but they don't have any armor. Basically, you can get killed really quickly if you don't use them right. They're run and gun type mechs. You run around, you hit what you can, and then you run away. And you keep dodging enemy firepower because you can get taken out really easy. Let's look at one of them in the lab. Let's look at the spider with the ECM. Let me just find it. There it is. Let's go to loadout. As you can see, the armor in the front is, well, the total armor is 28, which is really sad when you compare them to the medium heavies and then to the assaults, which are the heaviest class. I call them super heavies because they're not really assault type mechs. They're more stand in the back and batter the enemy into submission type mech just because of their speed. Some people like to put huge engines in those. I'm talking about standard 380s or XL 380 engines, and those engines are basically the biggest. If you look at the list, the biggest one you can put in this one is 255. Let's go to one of the assaults just to demonstrate what I'm talking about. Let's go with the heaviest one, the Atlas. Wait, this is a trial. There we go. The Atlas standard engine can go up to 360. The Atlas XL engine can also go up to 360. There are some, I think, that can go up to 380s, but I could be wrong about that, or maybe it changed. Oh, let's check out a Banshee. Those will most likely have a smaller engine than us. Oh no, there it is. It can go up to 400. So yes, I was right about seeing a 380 somewhere. But a 400 standard 400 engine, that's way too much for an assault. That's basically information you can use if you're planning on buying your first mech as an assault, which I wouldn't recommend, excuse me, for the simple reason that an assault is very difficult to play. It accelerates very sluggishly. It stops sluggishly, and then it accelerates in reverse even more sluggishly. So you will basically have a difficult time learning how to position your mech, and you will find the game more frustrating than it has to be for you. So I would recommend starting off with a medium or a heavy if you like games like World of Tanks or Armored Warfare or War Thunder Ground Forces. They behave more like tanks than they behave like mechs. They're much quicker to respond. They have a better handling. They turn better, and they do have a decent amount of firepower. If you look at the, well, this is my mid-range Banshee. It only has 52.5 firepower. It doesn't have the great heat efficiency either way, but I usually don't use all the weapons close range. And let's look at a light. Well, actually, let's look at a heavy. This is one of the heavies. You can see the firepower is 42. There's only 10 difference, and the hit efficiency is about the same. This is my PPC Catapult K2. I know a lot of people run dual Gauss on it, or dual AC-10s. It is worth it, but you lose so much if you have to do that. Because my loadout, if you notice, I'm running a standard engine. For the dual Gauss, most people are running XL engines and they're sacrificing armor all over the place, which I don't like doing. I like having a lot of armor, even if I have to take peekaboo shots. It's better than not having armor, basically, for me at least. Especially with the way the catapult chickens are. I call these Mech chickens just because, well, for obvious reasons. This whole side is a side torso. This whole thing, excluding the cabin in front. This whole thing is a side torso. So basically, people are hitting you all the time in the side torso, especially with these tiny arms that this one has. And the XL engines, if you destroy the inner sphere XL engines, if you destroy one side torso, you're done for. Your engine explodes and you're dead. If you have a standard engine, they have to core you, and the core is this triangle right here. This is counted as a leg, and this is counted as a leg. This middle part over here is also center torso, but it's very difficult to hit, especially because with this mech, you want to be peeking over, you want to be held down basically if you're a tank game person or gamer. You would know that hold down is usually the best position for most tanks, just because the turret is heavily armored, and the same can be said for most mechs. A lot of people don't like to put a lot of armor in the legs just because it's useless. You have two of them. If they take out one on an assault, it makes a huge difference in how your mech handles, but it doesn't really slow you down firepower wise. So there's no need for a lot of armor. Not to mention they have internal hit points, which means once they strip your armor, they still have to take out the internals of a leg before they can destroy the leg. Not kill you, just destroy the leg. Which is why a lot of assaults don't like to have a lot of leg armor. Which is why a lot of people who like light mechs go for the legs on the assaults. That way you can take it out on a leg, and then you can slow them down. It doesn't work that way that well in pubs. I mean, it works for the most part, but in public matches, it's easier just to take out their backs and core them that way. Coring them means taking out their center torso. Their core, basically. And like I said, this mech has a huge side profile. You don't want to run an XL in it. If you're very experienced, you might enjoy the benefits of having an XL engine, like extra heat sinks and greater mobility and so on. But if you're just beginning, like me, heavy mechs are not really my specialty. Assaults are, however, and we'll get to those really quickly, very soon. So let's get back to lights for the first-person shooter people. This is a Champion Raven. It's probably going to be your either most favorite or least favorite mech. This is a trial version of it. It comes with two extended range large lasers, which you can see on the menu on the right. It'll say loadout right about here. And on the bottom it says what armament it has. It has a Guardian ECM. The electronic countermeasures ECM is a very powerful tool for a heavy or an assault, but even more so for a light. A light, you can basically take out a mech without ever being spotted, which is why I think the ER large lasers on this mech are a mistake. You're better off with something like a PPC, where it's less visible on the map. Not on the map, on the field of view. A PPC is basically a particle projection cannon. So it looks like a ball of lightning that's coming at you, and it fires the same way as a gun would, but it doesn't have a drop off. Drop off meaning it doesn't drop in altitude as the distance travels. The travel increases. So it's a pinpoint accuracy weapon, and you're better off with one PPC, even not an ER PPC, extended range PPC, than with two large lasers. Even though the two large lasers work really well because the light is able to change position so quickly, but basically you're giving away your cone of attack if you do that. People will notice it, and a lot of good players are playing in public matches, so you don't really want to do that as a new guy. The laser ECM Spider, however, I named it that way. That's a nickname for the mech. It's actually going to appear differently to other people. But it has an XL45 engine in it. Why did it put an XL engine in a light? Well, because it doesn't matter if they take out the middle torso, which has 32 hit points, or they take out my side torso, which has 24 hit points of armor, and plus the internals. The internals are usually half what the armor is, except for the head. All heads have 36 internal hit points and 18 armor. It's very difficult to hit the head on a light. They're about 10 to 15 times more than an assault. It's nearly impossible. It's not impossible. I have done it. A friend of mine has done it. I've seen other people do it. It's doable. It's just extremely difficult to do. The Guardian ECM, 2 jump jets, 2 heat sinks. I have not updated this mech at all. I don't like lights. I don't play lights. But as you notice, I have the ER PPC. Why the ER version of the PPC? It doesn't have the minimum range, which is an issue for the lights. If you have a light and you have minimum range, it means that basically your advantage is being taken away. It's very easy to get behind an enemy mech, an assault, sometimes even a heavy, and shoot them from behind before they're able to turn around and actually shoot at you. A lot of light tank drivers know this. It's the same principle. You're out-turning their capability to point their gun at you. Their gun handling is not good enough. And for the mechs, all guns are facing forward. All guns, all missiles are facing forward. Even LRMs will not fly backwards to hit your target, even if you have a 360-degree target lock. If you have Artemis, they might go out and then go behind you, but most of the time they're just gonna hit you in the face, even if they go back. So you can't hit anything behind you, is what I'm saying. The ER PPC has a good projectile speed, and this mech has bonuses. If you see quirks with green on the bottom, you'll see energy range plus 10%, energy cooldown plus 10%, which is very helpful for PPCs, because if you can see it in the middle where it says damage, heat, and cooldown is 4 seconds. Dropping that by 4%, you're dropping it to 3.5 seconds roughly. Plus you can have a module on it, and weapon modules, ER PPC cooldown, which I haven't unlocked because, like I said, I don't like light mechs. I don't play this one too much, and that's it. It costs 3 million, which is not a problem. I have only 5 million just because recently I bought the Battle Masters O3 chassis, and I'm leveling those up right now. Alright, enough about light mechs. Let's get to selecting a mech. What is your playstyle? This is what you gotta ask yourself. And that's why they have the trial mechs. And I do enjoy the trial mechs. But I will get rid of them right now. I will only select owned, and that's all the mechs I own. I own quite a bit of mechs. Some were bought with cash, some were grinded out. These are mostly bought with cash. I'm sorry, bought with in-game currency. These are bought with cash, and this is a reward mech for buying. This is bought with in-game currency. I did not buy into the whole clan overpowered mechs for cash. These are says invalid just because I stripped them. I got rid of all the ammo and all the guns and everything like that just because I wanted to build this one up, which is the one I'm leveling right now. You go to skills, you go to assaults, you'll see that I leveled the Atlas to master. I have the Banshee to master. I have the Stalker at master. I love my Stalkers, by the way. They were really good at Clan Wars. People underestimated the amount of firepower you can put downrange with ER lasers and this one. Oh, I believe I like this one better. Select mech. Let's go down. So yeah, there it is. It's the Laser Hawk. This is the 4N. It's an underestimated mech. Most of the people like the 3F. I like the 3N, the 4N. Just because the laser heat generation minus 5%, laser cooldown plus 5%, large laser range plus 5%, missile cooldown plus 15%. I don't use missiles, but I like to have it. Energy heat generation is minus 5%, energy cooldown plus 5%, energy range plus 10%. It's basically a sniping build mech. This is all for sniping. It doesn't have extra armor, it doesn't turn faster, it doesn't turn great at all, 62.99 degrees. Are you kidding me? You can't hit anything, any light that goes near you, you're basically dead. They're gonna stay behind you. If you look at the menu on the right, it's gonna appear right here. It's gonna show you how far you can yaw. It's sad, it's abhorrent. 62 degrees basically means that you're asking for it. It doesn't have any increases in that. It doesn't have any maneuverability increases. It's just a platform for lasers that you want to sit far and away from the enemy. Not from your team. You want your team close. If a light gets behind you, I told you, you're dead meat, so you want your team close. So let's set up our first mech. You've decided that you want to play a heavy. So let's go to the heavies. There we go. Heavies. You've decided you like the catapult per se. So let's set it up. Let's ship this one. I don't want to ship the armor. Okay. So the engines, you go to owned engines. I believe actually I'm gonna double check that. Let's see first. Okay. I know that mech is empty. There we go. Let's go to the store and see the standard engine, because you might not want to change your engine right at the beginning. Catapult K2. Okay, comes with a standard 260. Oh, so I kept the standard engine. Okay. Engines standard 260. This is what you're going to have in there. That's why I'm doing this. And then you have some weapons, some ammo. They're mostly garbage because they're standard. So once you pay for the mech, you'll have to buy weapons for it, and some of them are expensive. The ERPPC is over 500,000, 600,000. The standard PPC is 400,000. I would recommend the standard PPC. If you look at it, its heat and damage are 1-to-1, which is good. The heat and damage are 1 damage for 1.5 points of heat for the ERPPC. This is very, very, very situational weapon. You don't want to use this as a general weapon. You don't want this as your main armament ever. If you're a sniper for clan wars, fine, cool, you can do that. If you're a situational, if you are an assault and you have a lot of weapons and you can afford to spare the 14 tons for this and the 6 slots, yes, it's very good against ECMs because it counters them. It disables them for a long time. So, why do they even have this in the game? It's a lot of heat. It's a lot of tons. It's more tons than the ER laser and doesn't do that much more damage. It only does 1 point damage more and it does almost twice the heat. 15 as opposed to 8 heat. Well, they have it in the game to counter ECMs. But they also put a Beagle active probe which also counters ECMs. So why would they nerf a weapon so much? Well, because this has a max range of 1620 meters. That's over a kilometer and a half. That's a mile. 1.6 kilometers is a mile. So you can disable an ECM a mile away with an ER PPC. That's why they have it. That's the only reason to have this weapon. There's no other reason. There's no damage benefits to it. There's no heat benefits to it. There's no weight benefits to it. It's worse than the ER large laser. Look at it. Large laser, 9 damage, 8 heat. It's less than 1 to 1. Its cooldown is faster, 3.25 seconds. But its drawback is that it has a 1.25 second duration. What that means is the beam is doing that 9 damage over 1.25 seconds. So it's actually doing about 8 damage per second. Per 1 second of firing. And then you divide that by 3.25, you'll get your damage per second. Which is, it comes out about 2.75, I think. So it's getting some benefits from your chassis, but it's still much better than the PPC, because the ER PPC, I mean, is better than the ER PPC. It weighs more, it takes up more slots, the ER PPC does. It does 1 damage more, but it does it instantly, so you don't have to worry about hitting the same component over and over again while your beam is still pulsing. Not pulsing, it's still cutting, basically. It has a longer cooldown, but look at that range. 1 mile range, as opposed to just under a mile. So what's the problem? What's the issue? Quite a big difference. ECM used to be overpowered. It's not overpowered anymore. That's it. You can be a long distance spotter. If you see an enemy with a ECM, you can basically neutralize them for about 2 to 3 seconds. I believe most ECM users will be completely knocked out for the duration of the fight if you can snipe them. If you're good at sniping, I recommend building up a spider with a PPC and just taking out ECMs all over the place. Because the spiders are really quick mechs. They're difficult to spot because they're skinny. They're kind of tall, but they're skinny. You can hide around trees and bushes really well. The ECM is good because you can hit them in the back and hide behind the tree. It's exactly like first-person shooting. One shots and just keep the ECM on lockdown, and your long-range missile boats are going to take care of the rest. If you have them. Most pubs don't have it, but a lot of pubs do as well. So, let's see what we're gonna do here. Well, I'm gonna use my PPC build. 5 PPCs if I just ragged on them so much. Because I like them. Liking your mech is more important than being more powerful. And you'll see that as your performance increases. Then I'm going to use a little bit, maybe, does this have buff for medium pulse lasers? Nope. So I'm going to use medium lasers. A lot of people don't like medium lasers, but I do. I like medium laser. What can I say? And then I'm going to put 2 ballistics. Or maybe not. I overestimated my tonnage. So, this is what I'm going to do. I don't have 10 slots for it, but guess what? I can put on an Ultra AC5, no issues whatsoever. It's better than the AC5. It's not going to jam. I'm going to use it for close range combat. Well, actually I'm not, because I only have the owned ones. I have an LBX-10. I'm going to use this for close range combat. If somebody comes closer to me, they think I'm going to do less damage. Nope, I'm going to do more. Okay. And let's put some ammo. There we go. And let's put in some heat sinks. I need command console or the Beagle. I need heat sinks. 1, 2, and I'm done. I can't put any more. Just because of the end of steel and double heat sinks. We're good. 1.6 heat efficiency. Let's save this. Oh yay, I spent some money. Let's save this and let's get to the fighting. This is a long-winded video, but hey, if you sit through it, you might get something out of it. Alright. Here, I'm just gonna demonstrate the heat and the firing. Okay, so the heat is probably not too good. Let's set up our weapon groups. I recommend doing this in the lab, but I forgot that you can do it in the lab now. So this is your PPC basically. You can see you can fire on reload without overheating, which is good, and you can fire it multiple times before overheating. You can fire one more time before shutting down. There we go. That's it. You don't want to fire until you shut down. You want to fire, move, fire, move, fire, move. This is how you play this heavy. There are other heavies that you can snipe with. The dual Gauss K2, but like I said, dual Gauss sacrifices too much. Your secondary fire is this basically, and you can fire this all day long, all the time. You can run out of ammo and keep firing. That's what I'm doing here. We can go find some mechs to kill. They have dummies sitting around the place. But I don't really want to waste your time with... Well, actually, you know what? Let's do it. I'll just cut to it later on.
Target acquired.
Okay, we found one mech. You target them with R. You don't have to wait for the icon on upper right to appear. But just to demonstrate the firepower, look at the icon on the upper right, or the display on the upper right. You can see how much damage I just did. I took out all of the armor on his arm, and then with the second shot I took out the arm. When moving, you want to lead your target a little bit, or retard your target a little bit because of your speed. You want to keep doing that and just keep moving, especially with a heavy. With a heavy, you don't want to be squaring off. This is a light, and it's not moving. It's not even a bot. It's just standing there. It's a dummy. But if you're squaring off against another heavy, you want to keep moving. You want to face away from them when you're reloading, so they don't get a shot at your center. As you can see, I hit him square in the face. I missed the cockpit. Told you, it's extremely difficult to hit the cockpits. You want to keep moving and using cover. You don't want to let the enemy behind you, but you want to keep moving around them. You want to keep doing exactly what I'm doing right now. Just pop up, take a shot. Don't let them get behind you. Keep them on your side. Watch out with the buildings. Just keep taking pop shots at. This enemy popped up a little bit close to me, so I'm going to go find another one after I take him out. See how the PPC didn't do any damage? It has a minimum range. You can just keep shooting all day and nothing is going to happen to him. Which is why you use these. You want to have no more than 3 firing groups. It's overkill if you have more than 3. A lot of people will only have 1 actually, and they'll fire it twice and run away. Those are usually your lights and mediums. Heavies, you should be okay with 2 firing groups. Close range, long range, or high heat, low heat. I would recommend putting ballistics on a different group if you're going to use ballistics and lasers together on your build, because you don't want to have to deal with leading your target when you have lasers. Because if you fire the lasers and you're leading the target, the laser, it has pinpoint accuracy. It doesn't have travel time. It's instantaneous. Well, it does have travel time, but the travel time is not. Oh, there we go, an Atlas. Now an Atlas is the biggest and baddest mech you can have. And this is what you don't want to happen in front of an Atlas. An Atlas can have upwards of 70 firepower. 70 points of damage each time it fires and hits you. you don't want to be squaring off against something like that when you have a heavy with this firepower. You want to flank them. You want them to be outmaneuvered by you. You want them to panic. You want them to be scared. You want them to be afraid. And that's why you use ballistics, because it shakes their cockpit. Most players will panic in this kind of situation, where you're hitting them in the back, hitting them in the front, you're hitting them on the side, you're not staying still. You don't want to pass in front of them. It's kind of difficult. You gotta zigzag around behind them and kind of do this. And it's kind of difficult to do with a heavy, but with a light, it's nearly impossible not to do that behind them. An Atlas is very slow and very sluggish. I will demonstrate that in a bit. You can see the amount of firepower it takes to take down the back of an Atlas. Of course, I'm not hitting him in the same spot all the time, but you don't want to be concentrating on hitting him in the same spot all the time. You want to concentrate on basically taking them out. And I'll show you a little trick for the Atlas, actually. If you ever see an Atlas, remember the Terminator? Remember that his right eye is glowing? It's his left eye that you need to hit. Since I'm 60 meters away, I'm gonna back up a little bit, make my PPC available. Still not available. There we go. Center mouse button is usually a zoom. Missed. And there it is. I'll just hit it with the lasers. That's a headshot. You see the head on the middle one, on the top right. I'm hitting him in the head. That's where you want to hit him, but you want to hit him with something strong, because it has 18 armor and 36 internal hit points. So you want to hit from far away, dead in the eye, and you're fine. You might actually one-shot him sometimes if you have the firepower for it. I don't, unfortunately, on this. On my Atlas, I do. There you go. Headshot. I didn't even have to take his center before. Just hit him in the eye. You're good. Very simple to do. Very simple to do, but it takes a lot of skill to do it. It's one of those things, you know, easy to learn, hard to master, as you can tell by my performance. By the way, my legs are damaged because I fell off a cliff on the way here. I meant to do it. There we go, a sniping target. Sniping is easier said than done. First, you need a zoom module. When you go in the lab, I'll demonstrate the zoom modules in a different video, because this one is already getting way too long to watch.
Target acquired.
I lost the target. There we go. Hit him. Start moving. Hit him. Move. Especially on awesome. That's also an assault. Hit him. Move. You don't move in front of him like I'm doing, but I'm just doing this for a demonstration against a dummy, so I don't really care to move where I'm going. I'm not going to show you tricks to kill me. No. And also the head is right there. And you can easily take it out with 2 shots of your AC-20, of your AC-20s, I wish, of your PPCs. There's also a dual AC-20 build for some of the mechs. I'm sure you can find one of those. This is not exactly the video for it, and I'm going to exit out of this now. Quick match. It's just a training ground. So, your mech choice is very important. You have to fit your playstyle, not what looks awesome. No pun intended, there's an awesome mech. I'll show it to you. It's a assault. It's right below the Atlas. There it is, the awesome that we killed just now. If you see it, its tonnage is 80 tons. So it's on the low side of the assaults. I think it's one of the lightest assaults. Zeus and Victor. Yes, Those are the 3 lightest assault mechs. They start at 80 tons. Your heavy is going to be 75 tons. You're not going to have an 80-ton assault and an 80-ton heavy. Though, you never know. Piranha Games is kind of known to do a little bit of a screw up now and then. They don't really screw up. They do some things that don't make sense gameplay-wise. Like the clan mechs. They introduced them into the game. They were completely overpowered just because of the weapons they can carry. Their weapons were ridiculous. They still are ridiculous. You can see some cheese cutter builds. What is a cheese cutter build? Well, basically you pick one weapon, one mech, you stack it up to the brim with just one weapon. Those are your long-range missile boats, LRM boats. Those are your SRM boats, short-range missile boats, which are dumbfire missiles. They fire kind of like a shotgun, but they do a lot of damage. Each missile does 2.2 damage, I believe. I can actually check that out right now if I just select the right mech for it. Let's go to assault. Now let's pick my Atlas because I know it has him. Well, it doesn't have. Well, there we go. Short range missile. It's times 4. Well, 6 divided by 4, whatever that is. I think that's so 8.6 divided by 4. That's 2.15. Yeah, I think so. That's how much damage each missile does. And it's more than any other one. Well, I'm showing off my Atlas build, so might as well talk about it. As you can see, the assaults can carry a lot more firepower. Now, this firepower right here, you can't utilize all the time in all situations because it's very short range. Their maximum range on the LBX-10, LB-10X. I don't know why I keep doing this. It's just something I do. It's 1 mile, but guess what? You'll never hit anything with a shotgun at a mile. Anybody that's ever fired a shotgun or knows how a shotgun works, you know that you're not going to do much at a mile. Your best range is not 540, it's about 320. That's when you know that you're going to hit the same component with most of the slugs that come out of it, or the pellets. I don't call them pellets, just because it's their size. They're the size of an AC2, autocannon 2. They do that much damage. Each pellet does 2 damage, and there's 5 pellets come out of each LBX-10, LB-10X. It basically, I don't know what the LB stands for. I never cared enough to find out. It deals 10 damage total. That's why it's called 10. X means that it is the shotgun type, because the AC-10 is a single shot projectile. But basically, that is a slug. This is buckshot, basically. So, or buttered shot, mostly buttered shot. It doesn't make sense to even have this in the game, just because the missiles do the same thing. But if you like the missiles, SRMs, you will like this too, and that's why I have the 2 of them, and I have the 3 SRM4s. Why SRM4s? I could have fit SRM6s. Well, it's a double-edged sword. They do a lot. They do make heat. Just because there's a lot of them, they do make a lot of heat. But they also do a lot of damage. We're talking about 3 times 8.6. So that's quite a bit of damage. That's what 25.8. Yeah, 25.8, something like that. 25 damage with 1 shot, but you do it all over the place, which is why I have the Artemis, which basically lowers the circumference of your missiles. They go to the same place, and they hit basically the same spot. It doesn't do much for the LB-10X. But this is my setup. Why do I have the mid impulse lasers? Extra firepower. I have the tonnage, why not? I have a 320 standard engine in it. It's pretty quick for an Atlas, 57.8 kilometers. It's not bad. I have the speed tweak, I have all the perks for this, so this is my favorite one. It's Atlas DCD, DDC, I think. Yeah, it's Atlas 7 AS7 DDC, which has the ECM. It's a little bit overpowered. You can flank your enemy and basically take them out really quickly with this mech. It has a decent reload time and it works really well. If you're a fan of assaults, you might want to start with something like the Atlas, if you have the credits for it. If you feel like grinding that long with a trial mech, it's pretty expensive. With this one, or you want to start off with something like the Direwolf. The Direwolf is very mean little machine. Now, I have two Ultra AC-20s, which basically means that I can fire them once every second unless they jam. It has a chance of jamming about 15% per time you click. Something of the sort. Even though I've found out that it jams much more often than that. It has a lot of armor, as you can see, 114 in the front, 10 in the back, total of 124 on the center torso. The fact that it has a Clan XL engine, the Clan XL engines, you have to take out both torsos. You're better off taking out the middle. You can, I mean, it's simple mathematics. You're better off taking out the middle torso than the torso. So it doesn't really matter that it's an XL engine, but you can't replace the engines, which I believe is bad. I don't like this. I don't like not being able to replace an engine. The engine is probably your biggest source of tonnage, so you want to be able to replace it. But because it's an XL engine, it's lighter than the standard engine. So actually this mech has higher tonnage, even though it's still 100 tons maximum. It has a higher tonnage than the Atlas at 100 tons. Unless you fit an Atlas with an XL engine, which is basically suicide. The Atlas's side torsos are so huge that everything hits them. It's ridiculous. You're going to lose. A lot of the times, you're not going to lose your center torso. You're going to be standing around there like a stick in the mud with no weapons and no left and right torsos. So basically, if you're playing Assault, which is basically capture the flag, or if you're playing Conquest, which is capture and hold bases for resources, you're better off running away if you don't have weapons. Or you can tank it for your team if you still have a lot of armor and center torso, but it doesn't work that well. Well, this works out really well. You have your Clan AC-20, Ultra AC-20, which you fire this side first, then you fire that side. And if you notice, I have an ER large laser on here. Medium pulse lasers for close range. I don't even use them, I don't think. But I fire everything. You can see here, Ultra AC-20 on group 1 with a large laser, Ultra AC-20 with a large laser, and then I have my third group, which is the SRMs and the medium pulse lasers firing together. Why do I even have that? You might ask. Well, I have it because if you get close enough to me, I'm multiplying my firepower by 2. So you don't want to get close. That's basically against the lights. Basically against lights. Because it's very difficult to hit with the AC-20s, a light mech. But with 2 medium pulse lasers, I can definitely hit them, and the SRMs are going to hit most of the time, just because of their spread. And that's your basic mech choice. I know I didn't show you the lights, because I'm not good at lights. I'm not going to pretend I'm good at lights. I explained you some about the lights. I also did the heavies and the assaults. Mediums are just what they sound like. They're not a light and they're not a heavy. They're useful for taking out lights. So you want to keep them, excuse me, you want to keep your medium mech close to your assaults. Your assaults are going to appreciate the help. I know that your medium mech is much faster than an assault, which is why you want to keep it close to your assault, because it doesn't have the firepower of a heavy mech, but it has more armor than a light mech. It is much faster than a heavy mech, and it does have more firepower than a light mech. It doesn't quite have the firepower of a heavy mech, even though you can build them up, no problem. But it doesn't have it. And when those lights try to shoot your assaults in the back, it is very, very good to have a medium around. A medium can take apart a light, no problem. And especially if you distract them long enough, your assault is going to turn around in about 2 or 3 seconds and unleash hell on them. And I'm talking about real hell. This is 90 firepower if I fire everything at once, which I could do if I'm not heated up already. I could fire everything at once and just basically destroy or obliterate a light, but that light has to be in front of me. Okay, that's all, guys. See you next time.